My cousin called my 11-year-old daughter's gymnastics coach and claimed she was using steroids. The gym suspended her immediately and revoked her $15,000 scholarship. My daughter had been training for 6 years. I didn't yell. I requested drug testing, brought medical records, and when the results came back, my cousin stopped breathing. I was standing in the gym director's office when it happened. The overhead fluorescent lights made everyone look pale, but Jessica went beyond pale. She actually swayed. Her husband caught her elbow. The coach looked at the test results again, then at me, then at the medical documentation I'd laid across his desk like evidence at trial. Which, in a way, it was. Let me tell you how we got here. Jessica is my mother's sister's daughter. We grew up 3 houses apart in a neighborhood where everyone knew everyone's business, which meant Jessica knew mine before I did. She's 2 years older, which at 7 and 9 means everything, and at 36 and 38 means nothing except she still acts like it does. She married Ryan when she was 23. He works in medical device sales. They have 3 boys, all of them in travel sports, all of them extremely average at those sports, which Jessica interprets as latent talent waiting to emerge with the right investment. My daughter Mira is not average. I know every mother says that. I'm saying it with 6 years of coaching feedback, competition results, and now this destroyed scholarship to back it up. She started gymnastics at 5 because she couldn't stop doing cartwheels in the living room, and I needed her to do them somewhere with mats. By 6, her coach pulled me aside after class. "She's got something," he said. "Real potential. Have you thought about competitive?" I hadn't. I was barely thinking past next month's rent. I was 25 when I had Mira. Her father left before her first birthday. No drama, no fight. He just decided parenting wasn't for him and moved to Arizona. I've seen him twice since. He sends a card on her birthday sometimes. I stopped expecting anything else around year 3. So it was me and Mira in a 2-bedroom apartment in a complex that smelled like someone was always cooking onions. I worked at an insurance claims office processing auto accidents. $41,000 a year, benefits after 90 days, 2 weeks vacation after 1 year. I wore the same 4 work outfits in rotation and brought lunch every single day. Mira ate breakfast at school because it was free and I wasn't too proud to take it. When her coach said competitive, I said, "How much?" He told me. I went home and made a spreadsheet. Competitive gymnastics is not a poor person's sport. The training fees alone were double what I was paying for recreational. Then equipment, competition fees, travel, uniforms. I looked at that spreadsheet for 3 days. Then I looked at Mira practicing handstands against our apartment wall, her face pure concentration, and I called the gym back. "We'll do it." I picked up a weekend job doing bookkeeping for a small construction company. Cash under the table for hours Saturday and Sunday. It covered Myra's gym fees with $50 left over, which I put in a jar marked emergency. My family knew I was stretched. They didn't know specifics because I didn't tell them, but the signs were obvious. I drove a 2004 Civic with a crack across the windshield. I wore Target jeans. I brought store-brand soda to family gatherings while Jessica showed up with craft cocktails in mason jars. Jessica's boys did recreational soccer and baseball. When Mira started placing at competitions, Jessica started asking questions. "How are you affording this?" she asked at a 4th of July barbecue when Mira was 7. "Managing," I said. "But the fees. They're insane, right?" Ryan and I looked into gymnastics for the boys, and it was just crazy expensive. "It's an investment." She laughed. "An investment. In what? A college scholarship. Those are impossible to get." I smiled and changed the subject. But I remembered the dismissiveness in her voice. The certainty that I was wasting money I didn't have on a dream that wouldn't pan out. Here's what Jessica didn't know: I'm good with numbers. Very good. The kind of good where I'd automated half my job at the insurance company within 6 months and spent the newly freed time teaching myself advanced Excel functions and data analysis. The kind of good where the construction company owner started asking me questions beyond basic bookkeeping. "Can you tell me where I'm losing money on the Riverside project? Can you forecast material costs for next quarter?" When Mira was 8, he offered me a real position. Salary, benefits, financial analysis for all his projects. $67,000 a year. I took it. I quit the claims office on a Wednesday and started Thursday. Gave my 2 weeks notice to the weekend bookkeeping because I didn't need it anymore. Put the first month's increased income straight into Myra's gymnastics fund and started actually sleeping at night. At Thanksgiving that year, my aunt asked what I was doing for work now. Financial analysis for a construction company, I said. Jessica looked up. Really? Ryan's been saying construction is volatile right now. It has its challenges. Well, as long as they're stable. You don't want to job hop with a kid. Ryan nodded. Medical devices are recession-proof. Just something to think about. I thought about the fact that I just reviewed projections showing the company would clear $2.3 million in profit that year. I thought about the fact that my boss had already floated the idea of partnership if I could help him expand into commercial projects. I said, I'll keep that in mind. That moment right there. That's the first one that mattered. Jessica offering advice from a position she assumed was superior, me knowing something she didn't, and choosing not to correct her. If you're the kind of person who roots for the underdog, and I mean really roots for them, go ahead and subscribe. Because what I did next is the reason I am telling you this story. The construction company expanded. I built the financial models that proved we could handle commercial projects. We landed a contract renovating a historic downtown building into mixed-use retail and apartments. I negotiated better rates with suppliers. I identified cost overruns before they became disasters. My boss made me a partner when Mira was 9. Partner meant equity. It meant profit sharing. It meant my salary went to $94,000 base plus quarterly distributions that varied but averaged another $30,000. It meant I could afford Myra's gymnastics without the stomach-clenching anxiety every time I wrote a check. It meant I moved us out of the apartment into a rental house with a yard. It also meant I kept my mouth shut at family gatherings where Jessica still asked if I was getting by okay, and my mother still worried out loud about my retirement savings. Because here's the thing about coming from where I came from, success doesn't make you celebrated. It makes you suspect. It makes people wonder what you're hiding, what corners you cut, who you stepped on. I watched my cousin Darren buy a new truck with his construction job earnings, and everyone celebrated. I knew if I showed up in a new car, someone would ask how I could afford it when I had a child to support. So I drove the Civic. I bought my clothes at Target. I brought store-brand soda to family barbecues. And Mira got better. By 9, she was training 15 hours a week. By 10, she'd placed top 3 at every regional competition in her level. Her coaches started using words like Olympic development pathway and national potential. When she was 10 and a half, her head coach called me in for a meeting. Myra's ready for elite training, he said. There's a program that works with gymnasts who show this level of promise. Full scholarship for training fees, competition costs, even travel. It's extremely competitive. Maybe 20 kids in the region get offered this. What's the catch? No catch. Well, 1. She'd need to maintain her performance level. Any doping violations, any academic issues, any behavioral problems, the scholarship gets revoked immediately. Doping? She's 10. It's standard language. These scholarships can go through age 18. They have to cover all bases. I read through the paperwork. $15,000 a year in covered costs. Renewable annually based on performance. Drug testing permitted at any time. Mira earned it in 3 months. The scholarship letter arrived the week she turned 11. I didn't announce it on Facebook. I didn't bring it up at family dinner. I told my mother privately because she'd always supported Myra's gymnastics, even when she worried about my finances. She cried. She hugged Mira and told her how proud she was. I didn't tell Jessica. Maybe that was petty. Maybe I should have. But I remembered every comment about wasting money, every piece of advice about being realistic, every implication that I was foolish for investing in my daughter's dream. So when Jessica asked at a birthday party how gymnastics was going, I said, good. She's doing really well. Still expensive though, right? We manage. Jessica's oldest son had just started travel baseball. She spent the next 20 minutes telling me about the costs, the equipment, the tournament fees. It's crazy what we spend on these kids, she said. But you do it because you love them. I agreed. I didn't mention that I wasn't spending anything on Myra's training anymore. That felt like information Jessica didn't need. 2 months into the scholarship, Mira started showing real improvement. The elite coaching was different. More technical, more demanding, more focused. She was learning skills I couldn't even name. Her confidence grew. Her coaches talked about her competing at nationals next year. Then Jessica's middle son decided he wanted to try gymnastics. She called me. Can you send me the info for Myra's gym? Tyler's interested. I sent it. 2 days later, she called back. Did you see the prices? This is insane. How are you affording this? Scholarship. Silence. What kind of scholarship? The gym offers them for competitive kids who show potential. How much? I shouldn't have told her. I knew it the second the number came out of my mouth. $15,000 a year. More silence. $15,000. They're paying $15,000 for Mira. She earned it. She's ranked in the top percentile regionally. Right. Of course. Her voice had changed. Gone tight. That's amazing. Really happy for her. Tyler didn't join Myra's gym. But Jessica started watching Mira differently at family gatherings. Studying her. Myra's 11. She's strong for her age because she trains 15 hours a week. She's lean because gymnasts are lean. She's got visible muscle definition because that's what happens when you do handstands and pull-ups and core work daily. Jessica started making comments. Wow, Mira, you're getting so muscular. She looks older than 11, doesn't she? I didn't know girls could build muscle like that so young. My mother defended her. She's an athlete, Jessica. That's what athletes look like. Jessica smiled. Oh, I know. I'm just saying she looks different from other 11-year-olds. I should have seen it coming. I was working on a new commercial bid when my phone rang. The gym director. We need you to come in immediately. Is Mira hurt? No. Just. Please come now. I left work. Drove 15 minutes thinking she'd gotten injured. Someone else had gotten injured. There'd been an accident. I walked into the gym, and the director was waiting in his office with Myra's head coach and another man I didn't recognize. Sit down, the director said. I sat. We received a call this morning. An anonymous caller claiming Mira is using performance-enhancing drugs. The room tilted slightly. What? The caller claimed they had direct knowledge that Mira was being given steroids to enhance her performance and maintain her scholarship. That's insane. She's 11. We understand. However, given the nature of the scholarship and the explicit terms regarding doping, we have to take this seriously. You're taking an anonymous call seriously. We're required to. The scholarship terms state any credible doping allegation triggers immediate investigation. The caller provided specific details about Myra's training schedule, her recent performance improvements, and her physical development. Specific details. Who called? The call was anonymous. But they knew details. So it's someone who knows Mira. Someone who's seen her recently. The director didn't answer. What happens now? Myra's suspended from training effective immediately. The scholarship is frozen pending investigation. We'll need to arrange drug testing. If the results are clean, she's reinstated with a formal apology. If not, they'll be clean. She's 11 years old and she's never touched anything beyond children's Tylenol. I believe you. But we have to follow protocol. I stood up. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. Set up the drug test. Today, if possible. I'll bring her complete medical records from birth to present. I'll bring her pediatrician. I'll bring whatever you need to prove this is exactly what it is, someone trying to destroy my daughter's opportunity. The other man spoke for the first time. I'm the gym's legal counsel. We appreciate your cooperation. For what it's worth, I don't believe the allegation either. But the scholarship fund requires us to investigate any claim, regardless of how unlikely. Fine. Investigate. But my daughter doesn't miss more training than absolutely necessary. I called my boss from the parking lot. Told him I needed the rest of the week for a family emergency. He told me to take whatever I needed. Then I sat in my car and tried to figure out who hated me enough to do this. It took about 90 seconds. Jessica had specific details about Myra's training schedule because she'd asked about it at the last family dinner. She'd seen Myra's recent physical development because we'd been at a pool party 3 weeks ago. She knew about the scholarship amount because I'd told her. She'd called the gym. I drove home. Made 3 phone calls. First to Myra's pediatrician requesting complete medical records expedited. Second to a lawyer I'd worked with on construction contracts, asking if he knew anyone who specialized in defamation. Third to my mother. Someone called Myra's gym claiming she's on steroids. Mom's intake of breath was sharp. What? Anonymous call. But they had specific information. I think it was Jessica. Jessica wouldn't. Why would she? Because Mira has something her kids don't. Because I have something she thought I didn't. Silence. What are you going to do? Prove them wrong. Then decide what comes after. I picked Mira up from school. She didn't know yet. I'd told the gym not to say anything until I could tell her myself. We sat in the living room. I explained it carefully. Someone made a false claim. The gym has to investigate. It's going to be okay. She cried. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet tears sliding down her face while she sat very still. Why would someone say that about me? Because some people try to tear down what they can't have. Am I in trouble? No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. We're going to prove that. Can I still go to nationals? We're going to make sure you can. The drug test happened the next day. Full panel, blood and urine. The medical records arrived the same afternoon, 214 pages documenting every checkup, every vaccine, every illness and injury from birth to present. I dropped them at the gym in a 3-ring binder with tabs. The lawyer I'd contacted called back. Defamation's hard to prove with an anonymous call. But if you can prove who made it and demonstrate damages, you've got options. What kind of damages? Emotional distress to your daughter. Potential loss of the scholarship if they'd ruled differently. Harm to her reputation in the gymnastics community. How do I prove who made the call? That's trickier. You'd need phone records from the gym showing the incoming call, then subpoena records to trace it. Or you need them to admit it. I thought about that. Getting Jessica to admit it. The test results came back in 3 days. Completely clean. Not even allergy medication in her system. The gym director called. We're reinstating Mira effective immediately. Full scholarship restored. Formal apology will be issued in writing. I'm extremely sorry this happened. Who called? I can't disclose that. Can't or won't. Pause. The call came from a local number. Not blocked. But we're not permitted to give out caller information. But you have it. Yes. Can you at least tell me if it was a man or a woman? Another pause. Woman. I thanked him and hung up. Mira went back to training. Her coaches were extra encouraging, extra supportive. The other gymnasts' parents heard what happened and rallied around her. It should have been over. But Mira was different. Quieter. She'd warm up before practice looking around like someone was watching her. She'd hesitate before trying new skills. The confidence that had been building was cracked. I watched my daughter second-guess herself because someone had tried to destroy her out of spite. That's when I stopped being reasonable about this. If you are still here, I need you to do something for me. Hit subscribe. Because in about 2 minutes, everything I just told you about, every quiet humiliation, every dismissed achievement, every assumption about my limitations, it all comes together. And I do not want you to miss it. I called my mother. I need you to tell me the truth. Do you think Jessica made that call? Long silence. Mom. I don't want to believe she would. That's not what I asked. She's been different lately. Around you. Around Mira. After she found out about the scholarship, she got very quiet. Then she started asking questions. What kind of questions? About Myra's training. Her diet. How she built muscle so fast. Whether you were giving her supplements. And you said? That Mira trains hard and eats healthy. That's all. Did Jessica seem satisfied with that answer? No. I made one more call. To Patricia Reyes, the attorney who'd helped me structure the partnership agreement with my boss. I'd worked with her for 2 years. She knew my situation. She knew my family dynamics because I'd mentioned them in passing during long contract reviews. I need advice, I said. I told her everything. The call, the suspension, the test results, my suspicion about Jessica. What do you want the outcome to be? Patricia asked. I want my daughter protected. I want this never to happen again. And I want whoever did this to understand there are consequences. Are you prepared for this to fracture your family relationships? I looked at Mira in the next room, practicing handstands with the cautious uncertainty that hadn't been there a month ago. My family fractured when someone tried to destroy my daughter's dream. I'm just preparing to show them what that looks like. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Let me look into a few things. Don't do anything yet. I didn't. I went to work. I smiled at family gatherings. I brought Mira to practice and watched her slowly rebuild the confidence that had been shattered. And I waited. Patricia called back 3 weeks later. I have the phone records from the gym. The call came from Jessica's cell phone. Time-stamped, 9:47 a.m. on the day Mira was suspended. I was at my desk reviewing material costs for a downtown renovation. I set my pen down. Can you prove it was her and not someone using her phone? The call lasted 6 minutes. The gym director's notes indicate the caller provided detailed information about Myra's training schedule, recent competition results, and physical appearance. Information that required personal observation over time. What are my options? Civil suit for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. You'd need to demonstrate damages. The scholarship was reinstated, so financial damages are limited. Emotional harm to Mira is subjective. You could win, but it would be expensive and drawn out. Or, you handle it privately. Family resolution. Make it clear there are consequences without involving the courts. I thought about Mira that morning, hesitating before her vault approach. The confidence that used to radiate from her now carefully measured, as if she was waiting for someone to question whether she deserved to be there. I want her to know what she did. I want her to understand the damage. And I want it to be public enough that she can't pretend it didn't happen. How public? Family public. Not strangers. Just everyone who watched her treat me like I was failing while she had it all figured out. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Thanksgiving is in 6 weeks. My mother hosts every year. Perfect setting. Controlled environment. Family witnesses. You confront her with evidence. She either admits it or denies it in front of everyone who matters. And if she denies it, then you produce the phone records. Either way, the truth comes out in front of the people whose opinions she cares about. I looked at my calendar. 6 weeks. 42 days. Let's do it. I'll prepare documentation. Phone records, timeline of events, the gym's investigation report. Everything you need. I hung up and stared at my computer screen for a long moment. Then I opened my email and started a new message to my mother. Subject: Thanksgiving, I'll bring dessert. Mom, I'll be there with Mira. Can I bring anything besides pie? Love you. The response came within an hour. Just yourselves. Jessica and Ryan are coming with the boys. Your aunt and uncle. The usual group. Cannot wait to see you both. I replied confirming, then I called my boss. I need Thanksgiving week off. Done. You've earned it 3 times over. Everything okay? It will be. The next 6 weeks moved in strange double time. Work was steady, normal. Myra's training gradually improved as the memory of the suspension faded. She placed second at a regional qualifier. Her coach told me she was getting her edge back. But underneath the normal rhythm, I was preparing. Patricia sent me the documentation in a sealed envelope. Phone records showing Jessica's number calling the gym. Timestamps. Call duration. The gym director's written statement about the content of the call, prepared at Patricia's request for potential legal proceedings. I didn't open the envelope. I just put it in my desk drawer and went about my life. Jessica called me 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Hey, I wanted to ask about Mira. How's she doing with gymnastics? My hand tightened on the phone. She's good. Why? Just wondering. I heard there was some issue a while back. Who told you that? I don't remember. Someone mentioned the gym had some investigation or something. I was worried about her. The lie was so smooth. So practiced. She's fine. Everything was resolved. Oh, good. I'm so glad. These gyms can be so intense about rules. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. Something like that. Well, we'll see you at Thanksgiving. The boys are excited to see Mira. I bet they were. I made pie the night before Thanksgiving. Apple from scratch, because my mother's kitchen always smelled like cinnamon on Thanksgiving, and I wanted to contribute to that. Mira helped me roll out the crust. Are we going to see Tyler and Jake and Connor tomorrow? Yes. Okay. She pressed the fork along the edge of the crust, making the crimped pattern my mother had taught me when I was her age. They're going to ask about gymnastics. Probably. What should I say? I looked at her. 11 years old, strong and careful, learning to guard herself against questions that felt like traps. Tell them the truth. You're training hard. You're competing well. You're happy. What if they ask about the suspension? Tell them it was a false accusation and you were cleared completely. She nodded. Pressed the fork down again. Aunt Jessica asks a lot of questions. She does. Why? I could have deflected. Should have, maybe. But I was tired of teaching my daughter to smile through other people's cruelty. Because she's uncomfortable with other people's success when she thinks she should be more successful than them. Mira looked up at me. That's mean. Yes, it is. We finished the pie in silence. Thanksgiving Day, I dressed carefully. Not fancy. Jeans, a sweater, boots. The same kind of outfit I'd worn to family gatherings for years. I put the envelope in my purse along with my phone and wallet. Mira wore leggings and a gymnastics sweatshirt with her gym's logo across the front. We drove to my mother's house 20 minutes away. The driveway was already full. Jessica's black SUV, my uncle's truck, my aunt's sedan. Mom opened the door before we knocked. She hugged us both, held Mira extra long. How's my champion? Mira smiled. The real smile, not the guarded one. Good, Grandma. Inside, the house was warm and loud. Tyler and Jake were in the living room playing video games. Connor was showing my uncle something on his phone. Jessica was in the kitchen with my mother and aunt, wearing a cream-colored sweater that probably cost more than my mortgage payment. She looked up when I walked in. There she is. How are you? I set the pie on the counter. Good. You? Busy. The boys have so many activities. Travel baseball starts next month. Ryan's been working insane hours. But we're managing. She smiled. How's work? Steady. Still with the construction company? Yes. That's great. Loyalty matters. She turned to my mother. Can I help with anything? We moved through the pre-dinner rhythm. Setting the table, finishing side dishes, keeping kids from eating all the rolls before dinner. Jessica talked about Tyler's batting average, Jake's basketball team, Connor's math grades. My aunt asked about Ryan's work. My uncle told a long story about a fishing trip. I sat at the table and watched Jessica navigate the room like she owned it. Confident, comfortable, certain of her place. At 4 o'clock, we sat down to eat. My mother at the head of the table, my uncle at the other end. Jessica and Ryan on one side with their boys. Me and Mira on the other side with my aunt. Mom said grace. We passed dishes. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, cranberry sauce. The table was crowded with food and elbows and reaching hands. Jessica looked across at Mira. How's gymnastics going, sweetie? Mira glanced at me. I nodded slightly. Good. I'm training for regionals in January. That's wonderful. You're so dedicated. I really admire that. Jessica's voice was warm, encouraging. Tyler wanted to try gymnastics, but it just didn't work out with his schedule. It takes a lot of time, Mira agreed. And it must be so expensive. I don't know how you do it. Jessica looked at me. But you've always been good at making things work. My mother's fork paused halfway to her mouth. I took a sip of water. Set the glass down carefully. Mira has a scholarship. It covers most of the costs. Right. The scholarship. That's amazing that she earned that. Jessica cut her turkey with precise movements. Those are so competitive. You must have been thrilled when she got it. I was. And they just evaluate the gymnasts based on performance? Nothing else. My aunt looked up from her plate. I met Jessica's eyes across the table. Performance, commitment, potential. Why? Just curious. I heard there was some kind of issue at the gym a while back. Investigation or something. The word hung in the air. My mother put her fork down. Jessica. What? I'm just asking. I care about Mira. If there was a problem, I want to know she's okay. Mira had gone very still beside me. I reached into my purse and pulled out the envelope. Set it on the table next to my plate. There was an investigation. Someone called the gym claiming Mira was using performance-enhancing drugs. Steroids, specifically. Jessica's expression shifted. Just slightly. A flicker of something that might have been alarm. That's horrible. Who would do that? The gym took it very seriously. They suspended Mira immediately. Froze her scholarship. Required comprehensive drug testing and a full investigation. Ryan stopped eating. He was looking at Jessica now. That must have been terrifying for you, Jessica said. Her voice had gone softer. Sympathetic. For Mira, I mean. To be accused of something like that. It was. She cried. She asked me why someone would say that about her. She's 11 years old and someone tried to destroy her opportunity and her reputation. My uncle cleared his throat. But it was cleared up? Yes. Complete drug panel. Negative for everything. Full medical records from birth to present. The gym reinstated her with a formal apology. Well, that's good. Jessica picked up her water glass. I'm so glad it worked out. The gym director told me the call came from someone who had detailed information about Myra's training schedule, her recent competition results, her physical development. Someone who had observed her closely over time. Jessica's hand trembled slightly as she set the glass down. Maybe another parent at the gym? That's what I thought at first. I picked up the envelope, opened it, pulled out the first page of documentation. But the gym had caller ID. They had phone records. The call came from a local number at 9:47 a.m. on October 16th. The room had gone completely quiet. Even the boys had stopped eating. If you are watching this unfold and you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Because what she said next changed everything. I slid the phone record across the table. Jessica's cell number was highlighted in yellow. The call came from your phone, Jessica. She stared at the paper. The color started to drain from her face. Ryan leaned over to look. I watched him read the number, check it against his wife's phone sitting next to her plate, then look at Jessica with an expression I couldn't quite read. That's not I didn't. Jessica's voice came out higher than normal. Tight. Someone must have used my phone. For 6 minutes? Providing detailed information about my daughter's training schedule and physical appearance? Information you had because you asked about it at family dinners? Because you saw her at the pool party in September? Because I told you about the scholarship amount in August? My mother's hand was over her mouth. Jessica shook her head. This is insane. Why would I do that? Because Mira has something your boys don't. Because she earned something significant and you couldn't stand watching my daughter succeed when you've spent years watching me struggle. That's not true. I care about Mira. I care about you. I pulled out the second page. The gym director's written statement describing the content of the call. The specific claims made. The detailed observations about Myra's muscle development, her recent performance improvements, her scholarship status. The caller told the gym that Myra's physical development was unnatural for an 11-year-old. That her recent performance gains were suspiciously rapid. That I was probably giving her supplements to maintain the scholarship money. Jessica's breathing had changed. Faster. Shallower. This statement was prepared by the gym's legal counsel for potential defamation proceedings. Because what you did meets the legal definition of defamation per se. A false statement that damages someone's reputation in their profession or business. Ryan pushed his chair back slightly. Not standing, just creating distance. You're threatening to sue me? Jessica's voice cracked. Over a phone call? You tried to destroy my daughter's gymnastics career. You got her scholarship revoked. You made her question whether she deserved to be there. She still hesitates before trying new skills because some part of her is waiting for someone to tell her she doesn't belong. My aunt spoke for the first time. Jessica, did you make that call? I was worried about her. She's 11 years old and she has muscles like a teenager. That's not normal. I thought maybe. You thought maybe I was giving my child steroids. My voice was level, calm, but every word was deliberate. You thought the only way my daughter could be successful was if I was breaking the law and endangering her health. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Explain it to everyone here. Explain why you called her Jim. Why you made false accusations. Why you tried to take away something she worked 6 years to earn. Jessica looked around the table. At my mother, whose expression was stricken. At my aunt, who was shaking her head slowly. At her husband, who was staring at his plate. At her sons, who were watching their mother with confused, frightened faces. I was concerned. As her aunt, I was concerned. Were you concerned enough to ask me directly? To talk to her pediatrician? To suggest she get a checkup? Or were you only concerned enough to make an anonymous call that would destroy her opportunity? No answer. I pulled out the third page. The timeline I'd prepared with Patricia. Every interaction between Jessica and me in the 6 months before the call. Every question she'd asked about Mira. Every comment about her physical development. Every piece of information I'd shared that later appeared in the accusation. July 23rd. Family barbecue. You asked how much the scholarship was worth. I told you $15,000 a year. You got quiet. August 6th. Pool party. You commented that Mira looked different from other 11-year-olds. August 20th. Mom's birthday dinner. You asked about Myra's training schedule. I told you she was training 15 hours a week with elite-level coaching. September 4th. Labor Day. You asked if Mira was taking any supplements. I said no, just a multivitamin. Jessica's hands were shaking. She pulled them into her lap. September 18th. You asked if I thought gymnastics scholarships were realistic for most kids. I said Mira had already earned hers. You changed the subject. October 10th. You asked how Mira had changed so much in the last year. I said elite coaching made a difference. I looked up from the paper. 6 days later, you called the gym. Ryan spoke for the first time. His voice was careful, measured. Jess, is this true? She didn't answer. She was staring at the table, her face completely drained of color now. My mother's voice was barely above a whisper. Jessica, please tell me you didn't do this. I thought Jessica's voice broke. She's 11. She shouldn't look like that. It's not natural. I thought someone should check. Someone should make sure she was safe. So you tried to destroy her instead of talking to me. I leaned forward. You could have called me, texted me, pulled me aside at any family gathering. You could have expressed concern to my face like an adult. Instead, you made an anonymous accusation designed to make the gym take immediate action. You knew the scholarship terms. You knew any doping allegation would trigger suspension. You knew exactly what you were doing. I didn't think they'd suspend her. I thought they'd just check. You thought they'd just check a child for steroid use based on an anonymous tip? You thought that wouldn't traumatize her? You thought there was a version of this where Mira didn't get hurt. Silence. I pulled out the final page. The letter from Myra's pediatrician. Complete medical history. Growth charts. Developmental milestones. Professional opinion on her physical development as it related to athletic training. Dr. Morrison has been Myra's pediatrician since she was born. This is her statement. Myra's physical development is completely normal for an 11-year-old elite gymnast. Her muscle development is consistent with her training load. Her growth curve is steady and healthy. There is no medical evidence of any performance-enhancing substance use. None. I slid the letter across the table to sit next to the phone records. You tried to destroy my daughter because you were jealous. Not concerned. Jealous. Because your boys are mediocre athletes getting participation trophies and my daughter was excelling. Because you've spent years watching me struggle and it made you feel superior. And when that changed, when Mira started succeeding in a way that made your family's achievements look ordinary, you couldn't handle it. Jessica's face crumpled. Tears started sliding down her cheeks, but she didn't make a sound. My mother was crying too. Quietly, her napkin pressed to her eyes. Ryan stood up. Careful, deliberate movements. Boys, go to the other room. Dad. Now. Tyler, Jake, and Connor left the table. I heard them in the living room, whispering to each other. Ryan looked at Jessica. We need to leave. Ryan, please. We need to leave. Now. Jessica pushed her chair back. She was shaking visibly now. She looked at me once, opened her mouth like she might say something, then closed it. They left. We listened to them gathering the boys, the front door opening and closing, the SUV starting in the driveway. The table was silent. My aunt spoke first. How long have you known? 3 weeks after the suspension. I got the phone records verified 2 weeks ago. Why wait until now? Because I wanted her to know that I know. I wanted everyone who watched her treat me like I was barely getting by to understand exactly what she did. And I wanted to do it somewhere she couldn't run away until she had to face all of you. My mother was still crying. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. I reached over and squeezed her hand. It's not your fault. She's my niece. You're my daughter. I should have protected you both. You did. You always have. This wasn't something you could have prevented. Mira had been silent through the entire confrontation. Now she looked up at me. Is Aunt Jessica going to get in trouble? I don't know yet, baby. Are we going to sue her? Do you want me to? She thought about it. Really thought, her face serious and considering. Will it make her sorry? She's already sorry. The question is whether she's sorry she did it or sorry she got caught. Mira nodded slowly. I don't want to see her anymore. You don't have to. But Tyler and Jake and Connor didn't do anything wrong. My daughter, 11 years old and already understanding that cruelty and fairness aren't always distributed justly. No, they didn't. But their mother did. And until she makes that right, we're going to keep our distance. We finished Thanksgiving dinner quietly. The food tasted like nothing. My uncle tried to make conversation about work, about the weather, about anything other than what had just happened. Mira picked at her potatoes. My mother kept apologizing. I cleared the plates, cut the pie I'd made, served it with ice cream and coffee. At 7 o'clock, Mira and I drove home. She was quiet in the car until we were almost home. Then, Mom, did you know she was going to cry? I thought she might. Did you want her to? I thought about that. About what I'd wanted from this confrontation. I wanted her to understand what she'd done. I wanted her to feel the weight of it. If that made her cry, that was a consequence of her choices, not my goal. She looked really scared. She should be. What she did was serious. Are you going to sue her? I don't know. That depends on what happens next. What happened next was radio silence. Jessica didn't call, didn't text, didn't reach out to my mother or aunt to apologize or explain. She just disappeared from family communication completely. Ryan called my mother 3 days later. I was there when she answered, helping her organize leftovers. Mom listened for a long time. Then, I understand. Yes, I'll tell her. Okay. She hung up and looked at me. Ryan says Jessica is getting help. A therapist. He says she knows what she did was wrong and she's working on understanding why she did it. Did he apologize? He said he was sorry for not seeing it. He said the boys are confused and asking questions he doesn't know how to answer. That's not my problem to solve. I know. Mom twisted her hands together. He asked if you were planning to take legal action. What did you tell him? That it's your decision and I support whatever you choose. I called Patricia that afternoon. I confronted Jessica at Thanksgiving. In front of my family. She admitted she made the call, claimed it was out of concern, couldn't explain why she didn't just talk to me directly. How did your family react? Her husband made her leave. My mother cried. My aunt looked disgusted. Jessica's sons saw their mother exposed as someone who tried to hurt their cousin. That's significant social consequence. Public humiliation within the family structure. Loss of moral standing. Is it enough? Patricia was quiet for a moment. What do you want the outcome to be? Financial damages? Public record of wrongdoing? Guarantee she never does this again. I want Mira protected. I want this to never happen to another child. And I want Jessica to understand that actions have consequences beyond just feeling bad about them. Then we send a letter. Legal demand letter outlining the defamation, the harm caused, the evidence we have. We demand a written apology to Mira and a donation to a youth athletics program in Myra's name. We make it clear that if she ever makes another false accusation about any child in any context, we will pursue full civil proceedings. How much for the donation? Enough to hurt but not destroy. $10,000. The amount felt right. Not the scholarship amount. That would look like I was just replacing what was temporarily lost. Enough that it would require sacrifice. Enough that every time Jessica balanced her checkbook, she'd remember. Send the letter. It went out December 2nd. Certified mail, signature required. Jessica signed for it December 4th. December 8th, Patricia called. She agreed to everything. Written apology, $10,000 donation to be made by December 31st. Commitment to never contact you or Mira again except through family events, where she will maintain appropriate distance. Did she lawyer up? She consulted someone. But they would have told her the same thing I'm telling you. We have documentation, we have witnesses, we have damages. If this goes to court, she loses publicly. This way, she loses privately. Send me the apology when it comes. It arrived December 12th. 2 pages, handwritten. Dear Mira, I made a terrible mistake. I called your gymnastics gym and said things about you that were not true. I was wrong. I hurt you and I am deeply sorry for that. You did not deserve what I did. You earned your scholarship through hard work and dedication. You are an incredible athlete and I should have celebrated that instead of trying to take it away. I understand if you do not want to forgive me. I understand if you never want to see me again. But I want you to know that what I did was about my own problems, not about you. You did nothing wrong. I am so sorry. Aunt Jessica. I read it to Mira that night before bed. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "Does she mean it?" I think she means she's sorry she got caught. Whether she means she's sorry she did it, I don't know yet. Time will tell. Can I keep the letter? If you want to. She took it from me and folded it carefully. Put it in her desk drawer with her competition medals and ribbons. I'm going to keep it in case I forget, she said. In case she's nice later and I start to think maybe it wasn't that bad. I want to remember that it was. My daughter. Learning at 11 what took me decades to understand. The $10,000 was donated to a regional youth gymnastics fund on December 28th. Made out to a scholarship program for low-income athletes. Signed by Jessica and Ryan jointly. Patricia sent me the receipt. This is closed unless she violates the terms. Thank you. For the record, you handled this perfectly. You had evidence, you confronted strategically, you got accountability. Most people in your situation either let it slide or go nuclear. You found the middle path. I didn't feel like I'd found anything except the limit of what I was willing to tolerate. Christmas was quiet. Just me, Mira, and my mother. No big family gathering. No extended relatives. Mom didn't suggest inviting Jessica, and I didn't suggest forgiving her. Mira competed at regionals in January. Placed first in her level, qualified for state championships. Her coaches told me she was back to her pre-suspension form. Better, even. The adversity had taught her something about resilience. I watched her stick her dismount on bars and thought about Jessica sitting at home, watching her boys play recreational sports, knowing what she'd tried to take away from my daughter. I saw Jessica once after that at my mother's birthday dinner in March. She came late, left early, didn't speak to me or Mira at all. She looked smaller somehow. Diminished. Ryan was polite but distant with everyone. The boys played with Mira for a few minutes until Jessica called them over, and then they stayed on their side of the room. My aunt pulled me aside in the kitchen. She and Ryan are in marriage counseling. Is that supposed to make me feel something? No. I just thought you should know. She nearly destroyed her marriage over this. She nearly destroyed my daughter. I'm supposed to care about her marriage. My aunt didn't answer. I don't hate Jessica. I don't think about her enough to hate her. But I don't forgive her either, and I don't pretend things are fine for the sake of family peace. My mother struggled with that at first. She kept trying to create opportunities for reconciliation. Maybe at Easter. Or what if we just... And each time I'd remind her, Jessica called my daughter's gym and accused her of using steroids. She did that knowing it would destroy Myra's scholarship. That's not something you reconcile with a forced apology and awkward small talk over holiday dinner. Eventually, Mom stopped trying. Mira competed at state championships in April. Placed third, missed nationals by 0.2 of a point. She was disappointed but not devastated. "I'll get there next year," she said. Confident. Clear-eyed. The girl who'd cried in our living room asking why someone would say those things about her had been replaced by someone who knew her worth and didn't need external validation to confirm it. The construction company landed a major commercial contract in May. Downtown mixed-use development, $8.2 million project. My share of the profit would be enough to fully fund Myra's college, and then some. I didn't announce it at family gatherings. Didn't post about it on social media. Just kept showing up in my Target jeans and my aging Civic, letting people think what they wanted to think. Because here's what I learned: the people who underestimate you will always find a reason to justify it. Jessica didn't call that gym because she was genuinely concerned about Myra's health. She called because my success and my daughter's success made her uncomfortable with her own mediocrity. And no amount of evidence or confrontation or consequence will fix that fundamental insecurity. But it will teach her to keep it to herself. I'm writing this from my home office, where I just finished reviewing the Q2 financials. The company cleared $1.9 million in profit this quarter. My daughter is at gymnastics practice, working on her floor routine for next season. Her scholarship is secure, her confidence is rebuilt, and she knows that when someone tries to tear you down, you gather your evidence and you stand your ground. Jessica texts my mother sometimes. Asks how we're doing. My mother tells her we're fine and changes the subject. That's as much relationship as exists now, and it's more than Jessica earned. Ryan filed for separation in June. Not because of the Mira situation specifically, he told my mother, but because the therapy revealed patterns that had been there all along. The need to diminish other people's achievements. The inability to celebrate anyone else's success. The underlying resentment that poisoned everything. They're divorcing. Jessica kept the house initially, but last I heard she's selling it because she can't afford the mortgage on her own. She got a job doing administrative work at a dental office. The boys split time between both parents. I don't take satisfaction in that. Their family falling apart doesn't undo what she did to Mira. But it does confirm what I already knew: cruelty costs. Maybe not immediately. Maybe not obviously. But eventually, the damage you do to others circles back. Mira asked me last week if Aunt Jessica was coming to Thanksgiving this year. I don't know, baby. That's Grandma's decision. Do you think she's actually sorry now? I think she's sorry her life fell apart. Whether she's sorry for what she did to you, only she knows. Mira nodded, then went back to her homework. She doesn't think about Jessica much anymore. The woman who tried to destroy her opportunity is just background noise in a life that's moving forward with or without her approval. That's what victory looks like. Not Jessica suffering. Not dramatic courtroom justice. Just my daughter thriving while the person who tried to stop her fades into irrelevance. I still have the envelope of documentation in my desk drawer. Phone records, witness statements, medical reports. I'll probably keep it forever, the same way Mira kept the apology letter. Not because we need it, but because forgetting is dangerous. Because the next time someone tries to diminish my daughter, I want her to remember that she has options beyond silence. She has a mother who will gather evidence, prepare documentation, and confront cruelty with calm precision. She has 6 years of training that taught her discipline and resilience. She has a scholarship she earned through talent and dedication. And she has the knowledge that someone's attempt to destroy her only made her stronger. So, did I go too far? Or not far enough? Tell me in the comments.